How's it, everybody? Hardsock here, coming live from the backyard of my home, my hovel here in Pretoria in South Africa. And I wanted to do a quick, small review and a little comment on the Ryobi RG3500. Now, there are a couple of versions of this specific generator out on, not on the market, but more on the second-hand market. This is, from what I can tell, the latest of this specific model from Ryobi. You will see that I do have a little bit of I would say a dead man switch, which is totally not the thing that I want to go for, but not recommended at all. I am just doing it temporarily until I get a proper switch installed. So I do not recommend that part of my setup. But this little generator, guys, I have heard so much about this generator. I've heard a lot of things about the Ryobis in general, and a lot of the stuff is not good. You know, a lot of things with the automatic voltage regulator, and there's problem with hertz or the amount of voltage you're getting out of it and all that fun jazz. And I wanted to give a shout and say, you know what, there's a lot of bashing going around for generators, and I must tell you, the Ryobi thus far, I've owned the 950K, which is the 600 watt little 2-stroke generator, and that ran my setup pretty well. So I decided, let me go and buy the second up from it. This was definitely worth the amount of money you pay for it. So for a mid-range generator, this little guy can definitely do the job. Now, the crux of the matter is, when you get this generator out of the box, its hertz, its frequency it's running at is adjusted by Ryobi. Factory default is 53 hertz, which is understandable because these generators aren't really made for home use per se. They are more for, you know, construction and that type of thing, like most generators out there. So there is a little bit of tweaking that you need to do on this generator. It's not just take it out the box and then run it, it's going to work. Some tips and tricks I picked up from the 2-stroke, I actually have to almost do the exact same thing here under the circumstances. I also need to adjust the RPM of the generator, which I'm going to come to in a second. Overall, is it worth going this generator? Sorry, people just don't want to leave me alone. Alright, so I explained to you where you can adjust the RPM of this generator, which is that side, the left side of the generator, and you have to adjust the frequency as between 50, if you don't have a multimeter thingy-mabob, if you don't have one of those little jobbies, you're going to have to rely off of the digital display that they provide you on the generator, which is cool with these things, but these aren't really that accurate. They are a little bit out. So with the Philips head, while the generator is running, you've got to adjust the RPM and bring the hertz down to 50 hertz, or get it between 50 and 51 hertz, and then just leave it there. Don't try and go too high, don't go to 60 hertz, just leave it generally down below. You can go 50 on the dot if you've got a multimeter. If you've got one of those devices, you can adjust it right down to where you need it at 50. But ideally you want to keep it at 50, 51, so that any load that you put on this generator, the engine doesn't have to ramp itself up to get back to the right frequency and the right voltage. Other than that, is it worth buying one of these generators? Look, I would always recommend, like I said before, putting a UPS or an inverter in front of any type of generator, regardless if it's a very fancy generator. It's just to make double sure that the power that these units generate is coming clean into the home. Because if the frequency is out of whack, or the generator starts battling or something, it's going to send dirty power through to your appliances, and it can potentially break everything. But overall, are these like reliable generators? Look, I've used it now for a good 6 load sheddings with about another 6 hours worth of no electricity in my area, and it works pretty well. It really does. I definitely recommend it for a 50% budget system. Definitely worth going this route. Anyways, guys, thanks some more. And this is not a paid review or anything like that, but this is definitely something I would get for a budget setup, apart from the 900 watts. Thanks, guys. Sorry, I had a phone call. So is this the generator you want to get for your house? Just to run a few things. In my setup, I have an inverter that I'm going to have, that I've installed already, that I'm going to have it wired up. And this generator is going to power the inverter for the whole house to smooth out everything. I will always recommend having a UPS in front of this generator, because these type of generators are very finicky with their hertz. And if you don't have the right frequency, you can damage your appliances. So just be careful, guys. Now, on with the show. Out of the box, I've said to you guys, you want to adjust the hertz. Now, I've looked everywhere and everyone's saying you've got to adjust the RPM. And I'm not a petrol head, but I don't know much about generators and engines. So I had to look around, and then I came across this little guy, which is the regulator. Now, the regulator sits down there, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's that little guy right there that I'm pointing to. It's a little Phillips star screwdriver thing, head. So